Isaiah 1, verse 1 to 20, opens as a covenant lawsuit against Judah and Jerusalem. The prophet is not speaking to pagan nations first, but to a people who possessed the temple, the sacrifices, and the scriptures, yet whose hearts had drifted far from the God they claimed to worship. The chapter exposes the failure of outward religion while also unveiling the mercy of God toward a rebellious people. Isaiah begins by declaring that heaven and earth are witnesses against Israel. The language echoes covenantal courtroom imagery, where creation itself testifies against covenant breakers. God speaks as a father whose children have rebelled against him. Even animals recognize their master, but Israel had become spiritually blind and hardened. Their sin was not merely moral weakness, it was covenant unfaithfulness. They carried the marks of judgment everywhere: wounds, bruises, and devastation throughout the land. The condition of Jerusalem reflected the consequences of trusting in the old covenant system while lacking true faith. Though sacrifices continued, the nation itself was spiritually sick from head to foot. The temple services continued daily, yet God declared that he was weary of their offerings because their hands were full of blood. Religious activity without love, justice, and faithfulness had become offensive to him. This passage reveals that external observances were never the ultimate goal of God. The sacrifices, feasts, incense, and assemblies pointed beyond themselves to a greater fulfillment. The old covenant system could expose sin, remind the people of guilt, and temporarily cover ceremonial uncleanness, but it could not transform the conscience. Isaiah shows that God desired cleansing of the heart rather than endless ritual performance. When Isaiah compares Jerusalem to Sodom and Gomorrah, he is exposing how covenant privilege does not guarantee covenant faithfulness. Possessing the temple did not shield the nation from judgment. The people believed their religious identity protected them, yet their injustice toward the poor and oppressed revealed that they had misunderstood the very character of God. The prophet then calls the people to wash themselves and cease from evil. This is not merely a demand for moral reform through human effort. Rather, it is an invitation to turn back to the God who alone can cleanse. The call anticipates a greater cleansing that would come through the Messiah and the establishment of a new covenant. Isaiah 1:18 stands as one of the great declarations of divine mercy. Though sins are as scarlet, they shall become white as snow. God is not simply offering temporary relief from judgment, but complete cleansing. Scarlet stains represent guilt that humanity cannot remove through ritual or personal striving. Yet God himself promises cleansing and restoration. Forgiveness is presented not as something earned through sacrifices or law keeping, but as the gracious work of God toward undeserving people. The chapter also contrasts two paths: willing trust and stubborn resistance. Under the Old Covenant, covenant rebellion eventually brought national judgment upon Jerusalem. Isaiah warned of consequences that would culminate historically in devastation upon the covenant nation. The prophetic warnings throughout Isaiah anticipate the end of the old covenant order that relied upon temple-centered worship and national identity. The destruction and judgment themes in Isaiah point beyond immediate historical events toward the complete passing away of the former covenant age. The prophets repeatedly foresaw a transition from shadows to fulfillment. The temple, sacrifices, priesthood, and ceremonial system were temporary realities awaiting completion in the Messiah. Once fulfillment arrived, the old order would fade because its purpose had been accomplished. Isaiah 1 therefore reveals both the bankruptcy of outward religion and the abundance of divine mercy. God was never satisfied with ritual detached from faith. He desired reconciliation, justice, mercy, and transformed hearts. The chapter points toward a covenant founded not upon repeated sacrifices, but upon perfect cleansing and permanent forgiveness. The message remains powerful. God does not seek empty performance, but genuine trust in his provision. Human effort cannot remove scarlet stains, but divine grace brings cleansing, restoration, and peace. Even in the midst of judgment, Isaiah presents a God who reasons with sinners and invites them into complete forgiveness and covenant fellowship.